Marrying the right woman and creating a covenant with them can change a man's life.
Oh, most definitely.
What are some of the benefits for men to marry right?
The benefits is you're able to concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing and doing best, and that is to provide for your spouse and your for your wife and your children if you have children. I think it's a lot easier when you marry the right woman and she completely understands that although she has her own goals and her own dreams and aspirations, she has now came into a covenant to where I can somewhat, not somewhat, but I'm able to woosah because I know that the man that I married and came into covenant with he's going to go out and make things happen.
Yeah.
So and I've said this before, if I had met you years ago, previously before, we might have not gotten married so quickly. And we would have, before my other previous marriages, if I'd have met you way before then, those previous marriages, I would have only been married to her and only her. There would have been I'm sure because we were younger, there would have some growing pains, and I think there would have been some time to figure things out, and I'm sure we wouldn't have had kids right away. But at the same time, I know that because of the type of woman that she is, it would have been easy for me to become who I had aspirations to become. And that's me. What I'm saying is, in the military, when I first joined the military, I knew when I first signed that contract, I knew that I wanted to do 30 years, whether I was going to be enlisted or whether I was going to be enlisted and to transfer over to officer route or warrant officer route. There was another dream that I had, which I did make that happen, but I didn't finish it, becoming a drill instructor. I was like, okay, I'm doing 30 years. I'm going to become a drill instructor, and I'm going to become a sergeant major. That was my dreams. During that time frame, because I married 3 women, it played a huge part on me not accomplishing that goal. I didn't, nothing to say that there was something wrong with them. They weren't the right one for me, to be able to get and accomplish that goal. And I'm not trying to knock them at all. I also realized too that the main person that all 3 of those other women had in common was me. So I had to realize, and someone who's been married for over 30 years told me that at any point, what do those 3 other women have in common? And it was me. So I had to realize that there were some things that was wrong with me because I was the person who they married. So there was,
and you're supposed to be the head, so
right,
you're not leading them.
And so that was another thing that I had to realize, hey, wait a minute, he got a point. And the common denominator is me.
Yeah.
And until I realized that, if I never realized that, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have been able to get married at all, because the transformation that was already taking place internally for himself, his standards, even in things that we've had challenges ourselves, what's made it a world of difference is because he's thoroughly honest with himself. And when you can take full accountability, your transformation of who you are and who you desire to become, that past resume, because a lot of women got resumes, but they don't really share their resumes. But you got a resume. And if you have had boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend, or dated this person, got engaged, now you're divorced, all of that different stuff, that's your resume. And it can travel with you, but you have to work on thyself in order to present. And that's why I said yes to marrying him, because I wasn't marrying the resume. I was marrying the character and his heart to want to be the best version that God intended him to be. And not that I was marrying his potential, because he already there are people that's like, I married his potential. No, I did not marry the potential. God allowed me to see who he was, period, to see his heart, not what the resume
I already
said.
passed majority of men in the world anyways by joining the Marine Corps anyway. So
okay,
that the potential there was our please.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, what I'm saying is there are people that's like, oh, married for the potential. I married him when I was 30. So I had all of my 20s, which I call it your adolescent years of adulthood. You're figuring it out.
Right.
But for me to get into a covenant with you and to say this is death to you part is because God allowed me to see your heart. And if you can see someone's heart, not the superficial stuff, oh, they take me out to dinner, oh, they do, like, those are great activities. You want to see the heart of the person. Watch how they, you know, when I met him, he was raising his sister because his mom died. That says a lot about a person who can sacrifice, that had no children, to take on a child to then raise them. Did he get it right? No. And did he get some things right? Yes. But when I seen that you can sacrifice, lay down your life, rearrange your life, and to be truthfully honest, I said to him, if I was your age and my mother died and I had little brothers, I don't know personally if I would have done the same exact thing that you have done. And that showed me his heart, and just how he served other people, how he was not saying yes to things. He had good boundaries, because I remember you told me no. I'm like, this man done told me no, I'm his friend. But that was good, because that taught me that I don't have to say yes to everything that you invite me to or anything like that. And so it was easier to get into a covenant and for God to shine a light on his heart more than his resume. I think that's why marriages are failing today, and why we have the narrative of culture being so loud, because we are allowing people that are not in it for the covenant. They're in for the contract. It's like, oh, you treat me good, I treat you good, so we're good. We have fun. No, you need to start saying, what does it look like when you are depressed? What does it look like? How do you deal with trauma? How's your family relationships? Now, I didn't know your whole family, but I knew that you had sisters, so I knew you had a respect for women. I knew that, like, God allowed me to show. We went to church together. You got baptized. I did not get baptized. So his pursuit of wanting to be devoted to God, because he had tried other different ways. So he's like, okay, this ain't working. And like he said earlier, it's like he said it was this glow. I didn't try to be Miss Bible Thumper and tell him anything. I'm just like, my life is a living example for me surrendering to God. Like, that's the only thing.
Definitely not doing that. I married someone like that, my first marriage, that was just a Bible thumper.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being a Bible thumper, but it was a lot of
hypocrisy.
Yeah, it was a lot of her being a hypocrite and stuff like that. But yeah,
that's not the point,
that's not
right?
the point,
but when I say not a Bible thumper, I wasn't trying to preach the word at him. If I'm going to be a helpmate the way God designed it, then his walk is his walk. And the beautiful thing is, like, when you're in real relationship with God and in a covenant with God, he will allow you to see the heart of a person, to see the characteristics of the person, and not to see all of, okay, yes, he was in shape, he had some good muscles, all of that good stuff, right? Yes, he was very handsome. Yes, he had good manners.
I was very handsome?
I'm not saying, I'm talking about then when I was single and I was looking at you.
Oh,
okay, yes, you were very handsome. Very handsome.
I got a dad bod going on, right?
Yeah, the dad bod is real. But we in the gym faithfully. We don't lose it, because mama got a little something too. Like, it's a lot.
Okay.
But when you're in relationship with God, he will allow you to see the person, not to see the resume and all the other stuff. And so covenant is way more important than treating your marriage like a contract.
Right.
And you got to lose the narrative. If you are married now and you're at a turmoil with your husband, I promise you that as soon as you just literally surrender to, this person may have changed, this person, but if you can say that you've done everything that you can, that you've tried it all, you've changed who you are. You don't even have to argue, debate, and all that stuff, because most of the time you're debating to be heard, but nothing is being heard or whatever.
Or to be right.
Just to be right. You can't fight to be right. You got to fight for the vision that you guys have. Like, what are you guys standing on? What principles are you standing on? I think that makes a world of a difference. And I just think as soon as you start to treat it more like a covenant and less like a contract for those who are treating it that way, you will see a major shift in your marriage, because you got to change you first before you try to change the other person. Yeah. It's your actions, how I am, how I show up in my marriage allows this to thrive, and vice versa. you're not trying to change me, and I'm not trying to change him.
Right.
But I am growing with you. So there's certain things that, you know, he has new desires, and we have to discuss it. And it's like, how could I support you in this area? And then there's things that I want to do, and you're like, okay, you know, how could I support you in this area? And I think that makes a world of a difference. So let us know what your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts, your reactions. What are you feeling? What do you know?
Was that the last question?
That was the last one, boo boo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So let us know if you enjoyed this conversation. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit it for the algorithm. It helps us to reach more people. Share it with someone if you felt like this was a great conversation. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Peace.
Bye.